This walkthrough will show the creation of the IAM role in the Source AWS account configured in cross-account logging with a target account. It will also show the registration of the Source AWS account in Oracle CASB Cloud Service. At this point in the configuration, it's assumed that CloudTrail has already been enabled and that it's sending its logs to a local S3 bucket on the target account. Log in to your Source AWS account and navigate to Services. Under Security, Identity and Compliance, select IAM. Select Roles and then select Create Role to create a new monitoring role. Note that this is different from a cross-account role. Select Another AWS account. This is required to be able to read the S3 logs, and so Oracle CASB Cloud Service can assume this role to monitor the AWS account. You will be prompted for the account ID and the external ID. The account ID is the Oracle CASB Cloud Service account ID. The external ID is generated during the registration process. Open a new tab and log in to your Oracle CASB Cloud Service. On the dashboard screen, select Add an App. Select Amazon Web Services AWS and navigate to the Select an Instance screen. Name your AWS application instance and then navigate to the Select Monitoring Type screen. This is where you will select which mode you want to register your AWS instance into Oracle CASB Cloud Service. Here you will assign a pre-existing AWS policy to the IAM role. You can register your AWS account into Oracle CASB Cloud Service in one of two modes: read-only and read-write. In both modes, you'll baseline your AWS security controls in Oracle CASB Cloud Service. Any subsequent changes to the security controls in AWS will generate an alert in Oracle CASB Cloud Service. In read-write mode, Oracle CASB Cloud Service can revert those changes back to the baseline settings, keeping your AWS instance in compliance. In read-write mode, AWS requires Oracle CASB Cloud Service to have administrator access to make these changes directly back into your AWS account. Read-only mode requires the read-only access policy. If you require read-only permissions on this IAM role, select Monitor Only. If you want to revert security control changes back to the baseline automatically, and your security policies allow assigning the administrator access policy to this role, select Monitor and Push Controls. Navigate to the Select Security Control screen. Change the authentication type to IAM User role and copy the external ID. Switch back to the tab with your AWS account and enter the external ID. Navigate to the Attach Policy screen, from where you can choose policies to attach to your new role. If you chose Monitor and Push Control, you must choose Administrator Access. If you selected Monitor Only, enter Read Only Access in the filter, scroll to the bottom and select the policy. Give the role a name and then create the role. Then select the role you just created. At the bottom, expand the Inline Policies bar to create an inline policy. Choose Custom Policy and click Select. Give the policy a name and enter the STS Assume Role statement here, making sure the resource is set to an asterisk. Now apply the policy. The first line is the role ARN, which is required to complete the registration in Oracle CASB Cloud Service. Towards the bottom of the page, there are 4 tabs. Select Trust Relationship. Under Trusted Entities is the account number of Oracle CASB Cloud Service. Under Conditions, you'll see the external ID that was generated by Oracle CASB Cloud Service. Select Edit Trust Relationship. If the Oracle CASB Cloud Service tenant times out, or you need to restart the AWS registration process, when you click to add the AWS application, the process will generate a new external ID. You'll need to replace the value in the trust relationship with the most current one to match Oracle CASB Cloud Service. Switch to the CASB tab and enter the role ARN you copied earlier. Slide the Collect Logs from an External Account bar over to the right. At this point in the configuration, it's assumed that CloudTrail has already been enabled and that it's sending its logs to a local S3 bucket on the target account. It is also assumed that cross-account logging has been configured, so the target account's S3 bucket has a modified policy to allow source account CloudTrail logs. The source account's CloudTrail is sending logs to the target account's S3 bucket, and a cross-account role has been created in the target account. For more information on cross-account logging, please review the cross-account logging video in this series. Enter in the name of the cross-account role you created in the target account. Enter the account number of the target account, and then test the credentials. If all of the configurations are correct, you'll be informed that the credentials are valid. Submit your action and you'll get notified that AWS is going through its first data ingestion in your Oracle CASB Cloud Service tenant. Navigate back to the dashboard and you'll observe that this application is going through initial data ingestion. Congratulations! You have successfully registered a Source AWS into Oracle CASB Cloud Service configured for cross-account logging with an IAM role. Thank you for watching.